Put yourself as the number one audience. Why not throw some different things up the wall and see what sticks? What I like to do is called a brain dump. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Emma, and it's been a hot minute since we've been back in my room. I was actually going to take you guys out to a cafe today, but it's been a bit rainy this morning, so I decided why not just create a little cute cafe-esque space in my room instead. As you may have guessed by the title, this video is going to be about what I've learned over the last 12 to 15 months filming and uploading videos on YouTube, and this will be part one of a two-part series, with the first one's focusing more on the ideation, the scripting, the scheduling, the mindset I have found to be helpful throughout this journey. Part two will be coming either next week or the week after that, and it will be more on the technical side of things, so like the gear that I use, the software that I use, how much everything costs, filming, setup, editing, and all of that stuff. I've actually scripted this video a little while back, but recently a couple of my friends have been mentioning that they want to get on social media, and they've asked me about how to go about it. So I thought that now would be the perfect time to film this video. So without further ado, let's get started. I think I need some water in this for this to actually stay put. Hold up. Why don't we start off with my origin story here on YouTube? How and why I chose to start this channel in the first place. If you've watched my 1 year on YouTube video, you may already know a little bit of the backstory, but for those of you who are new here, let's do a quick recap. I started posting on YouTube around the end of February last year. And before that, I've only edited like a couple montages here and there, you know, when I've had like some special occasions or experiences that I wanted to document. And then these last couple of years, I've been working as an English tutor, teaching advanced English, test prep, like the IELTS and all that jazz. And I had reached a point in my teaching career where I wasn't sure whether I wanted to continue teaching it any further. But I had already found a lot of useful techniques for myself and for my students with regards to language learning or the IELTS or test prep specifically. And I didn't want for that information to be tethered to whether or not I was going to teach. Like, if I chose to not keep on teaching, I would like for that information, that knowledge to still be out there somewhere to be accessible to other people. So I thought, why not utilize the internet, make a video, post it online, and if anyone ever wanted me to tutor the IELTS at any specific point in the future, I could always reference them back to this specific video. Another reason was that within my teaching career, there were times that I had a lot of success with students, meaning that they had positive changes that cascaded into the rest of their lives, into the way that they view education, into the way that they view the English language as a tool to open their horizons, more so than just a tool to pass like some arbitrary exam. And of course, there are students who, the moment that I stop teaching them, they revert back to their old habits. It also made me kind of question how much I really enjoyed this teaching process, if whether or not the student changed for the long run had an effect on how much satisfaction I got out of teaching. And I feel like that is like a natural concern to have as any teacher. You want your students to do well, right? However, I felt like my time teaching IELTS had run its course in a way, and I needed my students to do well for me to be satisfied with the process. A lot of the high school students who I teach, I would say most times their parents wanted them to study with me. They might not always have a voluntary say in the matter, so they can have some resistance to the tutoring process, if you will. I didn't feel like shoving things down people's throats if they didn't want to learn or study with me. But the internet is a space where I can share whatever I'm passionate about. And if people want to be there and enjoy that type of content, they will stick around. And if they don't, they can always just leave. And that is completely fine. Like, no one is forced to do anything here. Between those two reasons, I decided to create these videos on YouTube. But then my first video was not about teaching English. It was about learning Korean through podcasts. Back then, I had been studying Korean on and off for about 2 or 3 years, I would say. It had been a rocky journey. But something in me knew that I needed to keep on learning it, keep on trying to find ways that might be effective for me. And then I stumbled upon a technique where I primarily use podcasts as my main studying resource. It was very effective for me back then, and I was able to stay consistent for about 6 months. And I geeked out so hard with this method, but there was no one in my local vicinity in real life that I could share this joy with. And so I decided, you know what, why not post a video online and then we can all enjoy this method together. If you're looking to get into the YouTube space or some type of social media, you've probably heard of finding your niche. I've heard a lot of advice on choosing one niche and sticking to it. But for me, I felt like if I chose to stick to just language learning, there was nothing new about language learning that I would want to talk about every single week without having it feel really forced. And I feel like life is multifaceted and I'm comfortable sharing different aspects of my life. And I also happened to start learning how to sew at that point in time. So I decided, you know, why not throw some different things at the wall and see what sticks. So my first video was on language learning. My second video was on roaming around the city with my mom's friend and getting sewing equipment for the first time. And guess what? Both videos stuck. So I guess the niche that I decided on was myself and my personality, because I'm treating this YouTube channel like a visual diary more than anything, right? So I wanted to reflect as authentically as possible the person that I am at any specific point in time, for you guys to watch, but also for me to look back on in the future. How do I make sure that I can be content with the stuff that I'm putting out and also not be wavered by other people's opinions in either direction, right? I've decided to treat this YouTube channel as a form of self-expression, with me being the primary audience. And as long as I stick to my values in the sense that I am sharing things as authentically as I possibly can and reflecting how life is going, sharing thoughts that I feel like would be helpful to myself, to others, editing and producing it in a way that I'm satisfied. And with all these factors in check, I am the first person who was very satisfied with this product, with this video that I've created. And no matter the reception, no matter the feedback that I receive upon it, I know I've created this video to the best of my abilities. So that is something that I try to keep in check with every single video. And that comes with the ideation process as well. With the concept of this being like a visual diary, I also try not to film too many things in advance if I can. So whatever the published date is, you're probably seeing me a couple days before or within 2 weeks of the upload date. And even though I may have videos like pre-scripted, I don't film it until the week of, because things can change in a week or two. The way that I view things can change in a week or two, and I want whatever I'm filming to reflect most accurately the version that I am at that upload date. There are things that I might look back on in a year or two and feel like, why did I say something like that? Like, why did I have those types of opinions? But that was the authentic version of myself back then, and I have no qualms with that. Let's say for this specific video, today is Friday, and on schedule, it will be released tomorrow on Saturday. I have like 24 hours to finish recording and edit everything, which is cutting it close for me. If I was moving on schedule, I would have already filmed this on Wednesday, but I really wasn't feeling it on Wednesday. And because I know that whatever version of myself that I am presenting on the day of filming will be out there on the internet forever. So I would like for it to at least present some positive energy and not force myself to film something when I don't feel like it is the right time, if you know what I mean. Yeah, between Wednesday and Friday today, so 2 days, I've been able to catch up on a little bit more sleep. The weather has actually cooled down by like a solid 7 degrees Celsius, which has actually made it a lot more comfortable to just be and film. If the purpose of the video was to share my thoughts in the down moment, then I would be perfectly fine filming it on the Wednesday, but that was not the topic of the video this week. So I waited until a day where I'd felt a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more energized to film this video, as it's going to be out there on the internet forever. If you couldn't already tell by this video and how much I am talking, I'm trying to keep it structured. I have my notes, but I'm still kind of going all over the place, so please bear with me. But as you can see, I enjoy long form a lot more than short form. I have not yet learned how to express myself in like a short amount of time, so I started experimenting with long form first. Really enjoyed it, tried short form, felt like it wasn't for me, so I am currently just sticking to long form content. If you're on the fence of which type of content you want to try out, I'd suggest you to try out both and then see which one you resonate with a little bit more and then go with that one. Now, that doesn't mean that I will never ever touch short form content ever again. It'll just mean that I might try it again at a later date, and depending on how I feel then will determine whether or not I actually keep on doing it. Idea generation. How do I go about doing that? Because I'm not sticking to one particular niche, but more so the niche is myself and my life, I try to let these videos be inspired by the things that happen in my life. So for this particular video, it's inspired by the fact that a couple of my close friends have been asking me about this YouTube journey. Even though I had scripted this video like 2 months ago, I would say. It didn't feel like the right time back then to film this video, so I waited it out, and now it feels like the right time. Because I feel like when there's like a real problem to solve, I get much more motivated to actually do it instead of hypotheticals. This year, I also have been really inspired by other people's stories as well, not just my own, so that's why you've been seeing more people, more stories, more wisdom worth to share on this channel. Whenever I have an idea, I might jot it down in my YouTube notebook if I have it handy, or otherwise I might leave myself a little voice note on my phone. Before we get into scripting, we have to first decide on our storytelling style for this particular video. Of course, you can experiment with lots of different storytelling styles. There's no need to stick to just one. Whenever I have an idea for a video, I try to think about which type of storytelling would do the idea the most justice. For example, if I'm doing more of like a tutorial type video, like how I learn a specific language or use a particular resource, I would go for this type of videos. So you have me here, which is the talking head or the A-roll, and then I will probably film some B-roll, some extra footage to illustrate or demonstrate whatever the talking head, the A-roll, is saying. With sewing, I am a complete beginner in that field, and I feel like the best I can do is document the process as it's playing out and then recording a voiceover to go on top of that. If I'm doing a daily vlog, I just have in mind the activities that will be planned for that day. I usually try to not overplan, as I would want it to be, again, an accurate representation of what's going on. I always try to preface that it is not a typical day for me. I don't have to plan too much on those days. I just pick up my camera and then film the parts that I feel are interesting. Pick and choose your storytelling style, and then that will determine how you will further prepare or script your video. With each particular storytelling style, I would think about creators, the YouTubers that I personally really enjoy watching. This has nothing to do with their popularity or how viral their videos are, but how well their videos touch my heart, if you will. I will study those videos. How do they storytell? How do they add pauses? When do they add B-roll? Do the B-roll shots always have to match the voiceover word for word, or can there be some leeway? And if there is, how do I feel about watching that? Like, does that annoy me in any type of way, or do I feel like, oh, it's actually a breath of fresh air that, you know, like, because you're not presented with just like hard concrete footage of exactly what's being said, therefore it gives you a little bit more leeway, a little bit more space for your imagination to take its own time, come to its own conclusions, you know? I definitely feel like studying other videos is a very helpful way to find your own style, and slowly but surely you will develop a sense of how you like to storytell best. I like to script first on good old lined paper with a black pen because it helps me focus a lot more when I'm trying to get my ideas out. With the first draft, what I like to do is called a brain dump, which is the technique that I use with essay writing ever since college. This is also what I teach my students when I teach them to write test prep essays or college application essays. write whatever comes into your head without filter, without organization, without judgment, and it might look like a hot mess. And that would be completely fine. No one is going to look at this beside you. If there are any blockages, that will also come out and allow you for whatever real thoughts you're trying to get out. Sometimes just the process of getting the ideas out on paper feel like enough. I stop there and I have no further need to make that video anymore. The brain dump has done its job, which is to free me up of whatever I'm feeling. Let's say I do a brain dump and I still feel like I want to develop this idea into a full-fledged video. What do? I actually don't edit the first draft the day of. I leave it overnight to simmer, to, let my thoughts calm down. And then I revisit it the next day when I have more of a fresh perspective on what I've written the day before, when I'm a little less critical, a little bit more objective. And I type everything up onto my laptop, make it digital. I personally use Notion just because it makes organizing ideas a little bit more streamlined. I do this with essay writing as well. I never edit the second draft of an important essay or an important email the day of writing the first draft. I always leave it overnight until the next day. What it does for me is that it makes sure that I have to revisit every single bullet point all over again. I can't just glaze over it when I'm transferring it onto a different medium. So this is where I will fine-tune my ideas, cut out big chunks if necessary. That was the part where the brain dump has done its work of catharsis, and it no longer needs to be expressed further in a video. I also note down any B-roll shots that I need to take. So these days, my third days, I just film. But when I first started out, I definitely needed more prep time before filming. And so I had a third day where I would finalize all the details on my script, sit down with myself and speak into nothingness as if I am filming a video. So this is my practice round of trying to memorize my script, or at least the outline for it, On the fourth day, I would set up the camera, not press record, but I would talk to the camera. And then after that, do I begin to actually film the video. I'd always have a monitor on the side that I crop out of the video, and you guys usually don't see it. We're probably on like round 5 at this point. Yes, it does sound like overkill. Yes, I definitely needed it back then. These days, I have my first draft day, second draft day, and then third day is filming. I sometimes still do like a little test run with myself the night before, but nothing crazy, nothing like when I was beginning out. But that routine back then definitely served its purpose. If I mess up a lot when I'm filming, it makes for a lot of footage that I need to go through in editing, which is a pain in the booty, not to mention the fact that it takes up more storage space that I could use for other things, My job as an English tutor back then, during COVID, really helped me be more comfortable in the sense that a lot of times I teach students online, and not all of them enjoy turning on their cameras, and not all of them are particularly responsive students. So there will be multiple occasions where I will be just talking to a black screen on the other side with minimal responses. So I definitely feel like that helped me not feel too awkward about picking up the camera for the first time and filming for these YouTube videos. Oh, another point with scripting. If I know a video it's going to document a certain experience, fully voice over, what I used to do was just document the experience and then come back a week or two later when I'm editing the footage and try to remember how I felt back then. But it did not prove to be very effective and not really real either, because whatever I had felt in the process of, I probably will have already resolved it at the point of editing. So I tried this new approach in this video where I was going to sew some outfits for my best friend Annie, go visit her in another city, and then gift it to her. So what I decided to do was actually record little voice notes throughout the entire 3 or 4 day process, sewing all these things. It may be voice notes when I'm messing something up terribly bad, or maybe it's 3 a.m. and I'm cleaning up and I'm a little delirious, but that is the voice note that represents that moment. Or maybe like a little win, a little small win in sewing that may look insignificant but may have felt very significant at the point in time, and I want to capture that excitement. And when I sat down to the editing, all I had to do was take out that 10-12 minute voice note that I had collected over the course of the last couple days, trim it down to the necessary spots, and yeah, I have a very authentic, raw, and truthful voiceover, and I don't even have to like record anything over it. Honestly, better than anything I could record like after the fact of. But yes, I feel like today we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about how I got into starting YouTube, the intention that I keep for my channel, the mindset I use to help me stay resilient in this process. Honestly, I think my mom was a little worried that it was gonna get to my head quickly, but I reassure her that I don't force myself to make videos just to have videos, and I make sure that I am the first audience that is fully satisfied with this product in terms of storytelling, authenticity, production value, or just the general value the video is able to bring. I think the biggest takeaway for me, at least from this video, would be if you create in a way where you put yourself as the #1 audience, the first and only audience that needs to be satisfied, no matter the reception, no matter the feedback that you will receive on your piece of art, you will still be satisfied knowing that you did your best, adhere to the values that you have chosen to the best of your abilities at that point in time. You will actually be more open and responsive to constructive criticism if you're so lucky enough to receive some. I've stuck to that mindset with every single one of my videos. Now, that doesn't mean that I enjoy every single second of this whole process. Sometimes editing can be a little bit tedious, I'd have to admit, or sometimes I don't feel like I look my best in a certain video, but I know that what I want to say needs to be delivered. Like, it is time sensitive, and so I still would film it. And if you're watching this and you've already started your YouTube channel, what was one of your biggest takeaways in your time here on YouTube that you feel might be valuable and helpful to others? I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Again, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. The second part will be more about the technical stuff, like my gear, the software that I use, how much everything costs, my filming setup, how I edit. If you guys have any other questions related to this realm of YouTube, feel free to drop me questions down below, and I'll be sure to answer them in next week's video. Again, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!